Mating in Captivity, Reconciling the Erotic and the Domestic by Esther Perel. Imagine this scene. A woman named Adele walks into a therapist's office. She's got it all together. Successful lawyer, married 7 years to a genuinely good guy named Alan, and a gorgeous 5-year-old daughter. On paper, she's absolutely crushing it. She settles into her chair and says something that sounds almost apologetic. 80% of the time, I'm happy with him. Really, truly happy. She rattles off the evidence. They're financially comfortable. Their house is standing. Everyone's healthy. She's aware of how much worse things could be. Then comes the pause. That loaded silence before she asks the question haunting millions of couples right now. So what is it I want? She misses that electric, can't eat, can't sleep feeling from year one. The butterflies doing backflips in her stomach. The raw passion. And here's the twist. She knows that early excitement was tied to insecurity and uncertainty, and she definitely doesn't want that chaos back. She's built a family, created stability. She doesn't want to lie awake wondering if he's really into her or if he's going to betray her. But still, she wants to feel something. I want to be appreciated as a woman, she says. Not as a mother, not as a wife, not as a companion. She wants him to look at her without all the domestic clutter between them. The mortgage payments, the carpool schedules, his mother's dry meatloaf. And she admits she's guilty too. She's phoned it in, the fire's gone out. This quiet desperation, it's the beating heart of one of the most game-changing relationship books in the last 50 years, Mating in Captivity, by the brilliant therapist Esther Perel. This isn't your typical relationship self-help book. This is Perel diving deep into a paradox most of us feel in our bones, but can never quite put into words. She brings a fascinating perspective to this work. Both her parents survived the Holocaust, the only survivors of their entire families. They emerged from that unimaginable darkness not just wanting to survive, but to revive. To live ferociously, to cultivate pleasure, to feel intensely alive. That profound understanding of what it means to be truly alive flows through everything she writes. In Mating in Captivity, she tackles the great riddle of modern love. Why do the very things we do to create safety and security in our relationships so often suffocate the passion and desire that brought us together? Why does love crave closeness while desire seems to need breathing room? By the end of our journey today, you'll understand this puzzle. You'll see why the standard relationship advice, communicate more, share everything, become best friends with your partner, can sometimes be the exact thing that kills the spark. And you'll discover the secret to keeping that fire burning, not despite commitment, but within it. This isn't just about rescuing a marriage. It's about rescuing that part of yourself that desperately wants to feel vibrant, desired, and genuinely alive. Let's start with a simple scene that unlocks this entire book. Picture a toddler at the playground. Watch him dash off, bursting with excitement, ready to conquer the world. He scrambles up the slide, chases a butterfly, pokes at the dirt, but every few minutes he stops dead in his tracks, spins around, and scans for mom and dad. Once he spots them watching, he's off again on his next adventure. This little dance, it's basically the story of human existence. Esther Perel explains that we all juggle two fundamental, often clashing needs. First, there's the need for security, for safety, for what she calls an anchor. We need permanence, reliability, someone solid we can count on. It's our home base, the place we know we can always return to. But we've also got this equally powerful need, the need for adventure, for novelty, for excitement, what she calls the wave. We crave risk, mystery, the unknown. It's what makes us feel electric and alive. The massive challenge of modern relationships is that we now expect one person to be both our anchor and our wave. We want our partner to be our best friend, our rock, our trusted confidant who knows every corner of our heart. And we also want them to be our passionate, mysterious, unpredictable lover who keeps surprising us. We're asking one human being to be both the safe harbor and the thrilling, unpredictable ocean. Is it any surprise so many relationships buckle under these impossible expectations? This brings us to the central paradox. Love and desire aren't always playing on the same team. In fact, they often play by completely opposite rules. Love thrives on closeness, deep knowing, and comfortable familiarity. We want to collapse the distance between ourselves and our partner. We want to know everything. Their secret dreams, their hidden fears, their embarrassing childhood stories. Desire, though? Desire needs a little space to breathe. It feeds on mystery, on separateness, on the unknown. Eroticism, as Perel describes it, lives in the space between two people. If there's no gap to cross, no bridge to walk, no mystery left to uncover, there's nothing left to desire. When two people completely merge into one, there's no one left to want. This is why, as Perel has witnessed countless times in her practice, deeper emotional intimacy often leads to less sexual desire. It sounds backwards at first. Shouldn't being closer make the sex better? Not necessarily. Take John and Beatrice. When they first met, their relationship was pure fire. They spent their first 6 months basically locked in a room together, talking for endless hours, making love constantly, endlessly curious about each other's worlds. They were two distinct people, fascinated by the discovery of each other. The space between them was obvious, and their mission was to close it. But as time passed, they moved in together. They built routines. They learned each other's quirks, how John needs his coffee exactly at 7 a.m., how Beatrice leaves wet towels on the bathroom floor. This familiarity felt comforting. It built a strong, secure, loving bond. They became teammates. And then one day, John showed up to therapy and said flatly, "We get along great. I really love her. We don't have sex." What happened? Their intimacy collapsed into what Perel calls fusion. They'd closed the space between them so completely that the erotic charge just evaporated. The very thing that made their love feel safe, the familiarity, the predictability, the merging, became the enemy of desire. This pattern is everywhere. Those caring, protective feelings that make us feel loved can completely block the wild, uninhibited freedom that fuels erotic pleasure. It's like trying to throw a raging party in a library. The whole environment is designed for quiet connection, not for letting loose. So if more intimacy isn't the magic answer, what is? Perel argues we need to stop thinking of desire as something that just spontaneously happens and start seeing it as something we actively cultivate. And the key ingredient? Reintroducing a sense of separateness and mystery into our relationships. This doesn't mean picking fights or being emotionally distant. It means allowing your partner to have their own world. It means accepting that you can never completely know them, that they'll always hold a certain mystery. It's about being able to see them from a distance, as their own person, and finding them attractive all over again. Adele, the woman from our opening story, experienced this one evening. She was at a work party and spotted her husband Alan across the room, deep in conversation with his colleagues. For just a moment, she forgot he was her husband, the guy who leaves his socks on the floor and irritates her before she's had coffee. She just saw this smart, attractive man and felt that old magnetic pull. In that moment, she wasn't examining him with the microscopic zoom lens of marriage. She was using a wide-angle lens, and it let her see his otherness. That otherness is where desire actually lives. To keep that spark alive, Perel says, we have to learn to tolerate the uncertainty that comes with separateness. We need what she calls a secret garden, a private inner space that belongs only to us. It's not about hiding things from your partner. It's about having a self to bring to your partner. When we share absolutely everything, when there are zero secrets left, there's nothing left to discover. As she beautifully puts it, love enjoys knowing everything about you. Desire needs mystery. Love likes to shrink the distance that exists between me and you, while desire is energized by it. Love is about having, desire is about wanting. And the secret to lasting passion is learning how to want what you already have. Of course, this tension between closeness and separateness is just one piece of the puzzle. Perel goes deeper, exploring how our modern ideals, things we hold sacred, can sometimes completely sabotage a vibrant, erotic life. Take democracy and equality. We believe healthy relationships should be fair, respectful, and balanced. We build partnerships on consensus and compromise. These are wonderful achievements for society and for creating a stable home. But in the bedroom, they can be absolute passion killers. The erotic imagination, Perel argues, is often politically incorrect. It doesn't follow the rules of good citizenship. It thrives on power dynamics, on role-playing, on surrender and control. Consider Elizabeth and Vito. Elizabeth is hyper-responsible. She's a school psychologist, responsible for hundreds of children, and at home, she runs the show. For 20 years, she worked to make her relationship with Vito, who came from a traditional Italian background, more equal. They became better partners, better teammates. But in bed, Elizabeth craves something completely different. She wants to be manhandled, told what to do. She fantasizes about submission. She explains, for me, it's like a vacation. I don't have to make decisions. I don't have to be in charge. I can just step out of my regular world and be somebody else, sexy and a little wild. For her, sex is the one place where she can safely lose control. The power imbalance that would be completely unacceptable in her daily life is precisely what excites her erotically. It's not that she's weak or actually wants to be dominated in real life. It's the opposite. She's so in control all day that surrender becomes a form of liberation. She's not a prisoner. She's a free person choosing to play at being captured. This is crucial. The dynamics that cause friction in our relationships, power, control, dependency, even aggression, can become sources of intense excitement when they're eroticized. They're moved from the realm of reality into the safe, bounded space of play. This is why, Perel suggests, we might have more exciting sex if we worried less about democracy in the bedroom. Sex isn't always about being nice and fair. Sometimes it's about aggression, selfishness, and transgression, and that's perfectly okay. When it's consensual and playful, it's not betraying love, it's expanding it. But for many of us, these wilder parts of ourselves are terrifying. We're afraid of our own aggression, our own neediness, our own fantasies. We try to be good partners, keeping everything calm and harmonious. We smooth out any tension. But in doing so, we often create a relationship that feels reassuring, but not particularly exciting. Perel quotes psychoanalyst Stephen Mitchell, who said that fading desire is not due to the contamination of love by aggression, but to the inability to sustain the necessary tension between them. To truly love, we must hold both the tender and the aggressive parts of ourselves and our partners. This brings us to one of the most private and powerful aspects of our erotic lives, fantasy. For a long time, fantasy got a bad reputation. It was seen as a sign of dissatisfaction, a cheap substitute for a real, healthy sex life. We often assume that what we fantasize about is what we literally want in reality. If a man fantasizes about other women, he must not desire his wife. If a woman fantasizes about being forcefully taken, she must have some deep trauma. Perel argues this is a fundamental misunderstanding. Sexual fantasy isn't prose, it's poetry, it's symbolic, and its meaning is rarely literal. Fantasy, she explains, is the sanctuary of the erotic mind. It's a creative force, a psychological safe space where we can work through our deepest conflicts and heal our oldest wounds. The experiences that hurt us most in childhood can sometimes become our greatest sources of pleasure in our erotic imagination. Take Catherine. As a teenager, she was overweight and felt completely sexually invisible. She was the sidekick who never got the guy. Today, she's a beautiful married woman. Her favorite fantasy? She and her husband role-play a scene where she's a high-priced escort. Men are willing to risk everything just for a little of her time. In this fantasy, she's so valuable, so desired, that all those years of humiliation are finally vindicated. She's not just having sex, she's rewriting her own history. Or Lucas. He grew up in a small town, terrified of being discovered as gay. He even slept with a cheerleader just to maintain his cover. Now, as an openly gay man, one of his favorite scenarios is pretending to be straight on a nude beach and letting another man try to turn him. He's replaying his past trauma, but this time, he's completely in control. He's choosing to act straight, not from fear, but as a pathway to pleasure. Our fantasies are ingenious. They express a problem and provide the solution simultaneously. If we feel insecure in real life, in our fantasies we're irresistible. If we fear our own aggression, in fantasy we can be powerful without actually hurting anyone. The erotic imagination is our ticket to freedom. It allows us to be all the things we're not allowed to be in daily life. This is why our fantasies often feel shocking or politically incorrect. They're a rebellion against the good person we try to be all day. But most of us keep this world secret, even from our partners. We're embarrassed. We're afraid of judgment. The man who tenderly loves his wife might be ashamed of the lecherous thoughts running through his mind. The devoted mother might be horrified by fantasies that feel selfish or aggressive. So the question becomes, should you tell your partner about your fantasies? Perel advises caution. Sharing fantasies can be profoundly intimate, a way of saying, I trust you enough to show you this hidden part of me. For some couples, it's a playful adventure that brings them closer. But for others, it can be a disaster. If your partner feels threatened, judged, or inadequate because of your fantasy, it can create a wound that's hard to heal. Whether you share the details or not, the most important thing is understanding your own fantasies. They're a map to your inner world. They reveal what you long for, what you fear, and what parts of yourself you've had to suppress. Understanding the meaning behind the fantasy, like Joni, who realized her cowboy fantasies were about a deep longing to be taken care of, not a desire for pain, allows you to bring that energy back into your relationship, even without acting out the specific script. This journey into the inner world of desire inevitably leads us to the most practical and pressing challenge for most couples: parenthood. Sex makes babies. It's a beautiful irony, then, that the child, the living embodiment of a couple's love, so often becomes the greatest threat to their romance. For countless couples, the erotic life either dies or goes into deep hibernation with the arrival of the first child. Why? The common answers are exhaustion, stress, no time, and hormonal chaos. And all of these are absolutely true, but Perel argues there's something much deeper happening. When we become parents, our entire universe shifts. Our priorities, our roles, our sense of identity, everything transforms. The need for security and predictability, which was always there, suddenly goes into overdrive. We establish routines. We child-proof everything. We become serious, responsible adults. We plant ourselves firmly on the ground so our kids can learn to fly. But everything parenthood demands, stability, dependability, selflessness, directly conflicts with what eroticism thrives on: risk, spontaneity, and a healthy dose of selfishness. Family life is specifically designed to defend against the very uncertainty that fuels desire. Perel's patient Stephanie nailed it. "I knew we were in trouble when I couldn't even think about having sex until all the toys were put away. And then there are the dishes, the laundry, the bills. The chores," she admits, "always seem to win." She pushes her husband away and grabs the mop. This isn't just about being neurotic about cleanliness. For many parents, especially mothers, managing the household provides a sense of control in an emotionally chaotic new world. Children fill us with profound vulnerability. Cleaning the kitchen is concrete and measurable. It's far more manageable than the open-ended terror of keeping a tiny human alive and happy. But there's another, more subtle shift happening. Perel calls it eros redirected. Think of eroticism not just as sex, but as vibrant, creative, playful energy. When you watch Stephanie with her children, you see this energy hasn't disappeared. She plans elaborate art projects, nature walks, cookie-baking marathons. Her life is packed with novelty and adventure, but it's all directed toward her kids. The children have become the new romance. For many women, the physical connection with their children can also, in a way, replace the sensuous connection with their partner. The caressing, the kissing, the cradling, the nibbling of tiny toes. This blissful, fleshy fusion bears a striking resemblance to physical intimacy between lovers. As Stephanie says, "At the end of the day, I have nothing left to give." But Perel suggests that maybe, at the end of the day, there's nothing more she needs. Her sensuous cup has already been filled. This is where the partner, often the man in heterosexual couples, starts feeling like an outsider. Warren, Stephanie's husband, feels completely displaced. He says he feels like he's, quote, running a daycare center with someone he used to date. He misses his wife. He wants to connect with the woman inside the mother. But when he approaches her, she feels like he's just one more person demanding something from her. This creates a painful cycle. He initiates. She rebuffs him. He feels rejected and withdraws. She feels emotionally abandoned and becomes even more convinced that all he wants is physical release. They're locked in a stalemate, each blaming the other. To break this cycle, Perel says, couples have to consciously choose to carve out an adults-only space. This isn't just about scheduling date night. It's a mental shift. It's remembering that before they were parents, they were lovers. It's about the father reaching out to the mother, and the mother acknowledging him, redirecting some of that energy back to the couple. It requires creating boundaries. The bedroom door needs to close sometimes. The marital bed shouldn't be a family playground. And parents need to give themselves permission to be selfish, to claim time for themselves and each other, without drowning in guilt. A couple's erotic connection isn't a luxury. It's essential for the health of the entire family. Children actually feel more secure when they know their parents have a strong, loving bond that doesn't revolve entirely around them. The challenges of parenthood, the complexities of fantasy, the tension between love and desire, all of these eventually force us to confront the ultimate boundary in committed relationships: fidelity. In our culture, monogamy is the sacred cow of romantic love. It's the ultimate proof of our specialness. I chose you, and I rejected all others. When your partner is faithful, it confirms your uniqueness. When their eyes or their hands wander, your importance shatters. But what if our understanding of fidelity is too rigid? What if our fear of betrayal is so intense that it suffocates the life out of our relationships? Perel asks us to look at the shadow of the third. At the boundary of every couple, she says, lives a third person. This third can be real, an old flame, a flirtatious coworker, an affair partner. Or it can be imagined, a fantasy, a porn star, the attractive stranger on the subway. This third person, real or imagined, is essential. They represent the world outside the couple, the road not taken, the possibilities we surrendered when we chose commitment. The third embodies our desire for what lies beyond the fence. Many of us try to deny the existence of the third. We build a fortress around our relationship. We monitor our partner, check their phone, create rules about who they can see. We believe if we can eliminate all temptation, we can guarantee faithfulness. But this strategy often backfires spectacularly. When we try to choke our partner's freedom, we create an environment where secrets and transgressions become a way to reclaim a sense of self. The more you try to control them, the more they'll feel a need to escape. An affair, Perel argues, isn't always a symptom of a bad relationship. Many people who stray are reasonably happy at home, but they're searching for something else. Often, they're not seeking another person, but another self. An affair is a quest to feel alive, to feel special, to recapture a part of themselves they feel they've lost in the routine of domestic life. Think of Doug. He felt he'd hit the matrimonial jackpot with his wife Zoe. She was down to earth, fun, and wild in bed. But over time, as kids and life took over, he started feeling invisible. He began an affair with a coworker, Naomi. The sex was intense, but he insists that's not what it was really about. It was the attention. With Naomi, he felt irresistible. Her jealousy, while sometimes annoying, confirmed how important he was. The affair wasn't an exit strategy. He never wanted to leave his wife. It was a way to feel the intensity he was missing. So what's the alternative to either building a fortress or having a secret affair? Perel suggests that instead of trying to banish the third, we should invite its shadow into our relationship. This doesn't necessarily mean having an open relationship, though some couples do choose that path. It means acknowledging that you and your partner are separate individuals with your own erotic lives. It means being able to talk about attractions, to play with jealousy, to share fantasies. When a couple can joke about the attractive delivery person, or when a man can watch his wife getting attention at a party and feel pride instead of only fear, they're bringing the energy of the third inside their bond. It introduces a spark of uncertainty. It reminds them that they don't own each other. And that reminder, that little injection of jealousy or mystery, often reignites desire. It's about renouncing others not because you have to, but because you choose to, over and over again, and that choice is what keeps love alive. As Perel concludes, Acknowledging the third has to do with validating the erotic separateness of our partner. It follows that our partner's sexuality does not belong to us. When you can truly accept that, you can look at the person you've been with for years and see them again as a mystery. And you might just find yourself wanting them more than ever. In the end, all these ideas circle back to one fundamental question: can you want what you already have? The myth of spontaneity tells us that good sex should just happen. If we have to plan it, if we have to put effort into it, it feels forced and unromantic. We wait for the mood to strike. But in a long-term relationship, Perel says, whatever was going to just happen already has. Now we have to make it happen. Committed sex is intentional sex. It's not about scheduling intercourse in your phone calendar. It's about creating an erotic space. It's understanding that seduction doesn't end after the first date. It's an ongoing practice. It's bringing the same creativity and effort to your erotic life that you bring to planning a special dinner or vacation. Planning creates anticipation, and anticipation is the engine of desire. The couples who succeed in keeping passion alive understand this. They value eroticism. They're playful. They know desire waxes and wanes, and they don't panic when it disappears for a while. They trust they can bring it back. They see their relationship not as a destination they've arrived at, but as a story they're still writing together. There's always another chapter, always something new to discover. Reconciling the domestic and the erotic, the need for security, and the thirst for adventure is a delicate balancing act. It requires holding two opposing ideas simultaneously, to know our partner deeply, while always recognizing their mystery. To create a safe and loving home while still making room for the wildness of passion. It's not easy, but nurturing eroticism at home is an act of defiance. It's a rebellion against the message that marriage must be serious and that passion is only for the young. It's a declaration that you choose to feel fully, deeply, and vibrantly alive, not just out in the world, but right here at home, with the person you love. As we wrap up our exploration of mating in captivity, I want you to pause and just let these ideas settle. This book is powerful not just because of what it says, but because of why it matters. Esther Perel gives us a new vocabulary for talking about things we've all felt but couldn't quite articulate. She gives us permission to be complex, to be contradictory, and to be fully human. The single most profound lesson from this book is that desire isn't a fixed state you either have or don't. It's not a battery that inevitably drains over time. It's a fire. And like any fire, if you don't tend to it, if you don't give it air, it'll go out. But if you learn how to nurture it, it can burn for a lifetime. So many of us are taught that a successful relationship eliminates all tension, all uncertainty, all conflict. We strive for a perfectly harmonious, frictionless union. But Perel shows us that this peaceful plateau is often exactly where desire goes to die. Fire needs friction. Passion needs tension. Eroticism needs a gap to cross. For you, at this stage in your life, these lessons might seem distant, something to worry about far down the road. But the foundations are being laid right now in how you think about yourself, your friendships, and your future relationships. So here are 3 simple, practical ways you can start applying the wisdom of this book today. First, begin noticing the dance between the anchor and the wave in your own life. Pay attention to the part of you that craves comfort, predictability, and safety. And pay attention to the part that craves novelty, adventure, and risk. Don't judge either one. Don't try to pick one over the other. Just get to know them. Understanding that you need both is the first step to building a life, and eventually a relationship that can honor your whole self. Second, start cultivating your secret garden, This isn't about being deceptive or hiding things from people you love. It's about building a strong, independent sense of self. What are the thoughts, hobbies, passions, and dreams that are uniquely yours? Nurture them. The most interesting people aren't the ones who completely merge with their friends or partners. They're the ones who have a rich inner world to share. Being a whole person on your own is the greatest gift you can bring to any relationship. And third, redefine what intimacy means to you. We live in a culture that glorifies total transparency, the idea that the closest relationships have no secrets. But as Perel teaches us, sometimes mystery is a form of respect. True intimacy isn't just sharing every single thought and feeling. It's about creating a space where two separate people can connect without losing themselves. It's about being curious, not just about what you can learn about them, but about the world that exists inside them that you'll never fully know. Mating in Captivity is so much more than a book about sex. It's a book about aliveness. It challenges us to stop sleepwalking through our relationships and wake up to the vibrant, dynamic, and sometimes messy reality of human connection. The ultimate lesson is that passion isn't something you find. It's something you create, and it's created in that magical electric space between two people who choose, day after day, to remain just a little bit of a mystery to each other. That was our deep dive into Mating in Captivity by Esther Perel. We've touched on the core ideas today, but honestly, a summary can only take you so far. The real magic happens when you read the book yourself. It's in those quiet moments when one of Perel's stories, or a simple, elegant phrase, connects with your own life in a way you didn't expect. This podcast is here to help you decide if a book is worth your time. If anything we've explored today has sparked your curiosity or resonated with a question you've been asking yourself, I encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just about gathering information. It's an experience that can genuinely change how you see love, desire, and the art of being alive. You can find a link to the book in the description below. Also, if you found this summary valuable, I'd be grateful if you'd hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. That way, you won't miss our next journey into another life-changing book from the billionaire's bookshelf. Let's keep learning and growing together.